One of the things I've observed over my years is that being heterosexual does not mean you're straight. To be straight means you follow the straight and narrow path. That means you're following the path that's been walked on thousands of times. It's straight, it's simple, it's forward, and that's about it. You move forward, maybe you move backward, but you're not really moving in too many other directions. There are plenty of heterosexual men that are not straight. For example, some music artists I can give you, some of the popular male pop stars in our society from back in the day who are super famous, they might identify as heterosexual, and I'm sure they are heterosexual, but how they present is not very straight. It's very flamboyant, very glamorous. Some of the glam rockers even. Very flamboyant, very glamorous. I think that's great. It's important to point this out so people can see that just because you're heterosexual doesn't mean you're following this straight and narrow path. And just because you're heterosexual does not mean you are masculine presenting or masculine in general. It's very important to point that out as much as we can, because you have people who think, oh, because you're homosexual or because you're bisexual, well, you just must be out here very flamboyant and loud or very feminine. And you can be those things. It's just that that's not the only thing. There are plenty of heterosexual men who are not straight. They're flamboyant. They're what I would even call feminine. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way. I mean it in the way of they have more positive feminine characteristics that I think more men should embrace and have that balance between masculinity and femininity, the energies, not so much the physical appearance. And yet they're still confident in their sexuality that they only like women. But that doesn't mean you're straight. You're just heterosexual. To me, being straight is something that holds people back. It's something that's been preached over us. It's like, be straight. Follow the straight and narrow path. And believe it or not, there was a time in my life where I felt like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, you're right. I'm not straight. I'm not on the straight and narrow path. I'm on some zigzag, circular kind of path. And that's not straight. That's bad. I wish I could be straight, but I'm not. Now I'm coming to realize that's restrictive. And that's how you keep, especially men, in line and keep men from truly expanding into the beings that we fully are by keeping us on this straight and narrow path. Actually, I've learned some of my best bottoming skills from heterosexual men. Not directly, but through the internet. I've never come across a bottom teacher who's taught me non-ejaculatory orgasms through penetration. Yes, these men are getting penetrated from their women. Now, here's the thing, I'll never shame somebody for expressing their sexual nature, but what I can tell you is if you're a heterosexual man who enjoys getting penetrated, you are not straight. You are heterosexual, and that's beautiful. But you're not straight. You're not on this rigid, straight, and narrow path. I think that's a beautiful thing. It's just that words only go so far when describing things. So I think it's important to point out the differences in words and what we mean when we're really saying these things when we can. It's important to point these out when we can. And straight versus heterosexual, it's a really important one. Because if you're able to let go of your beliefs and enjoy a part of your body that you're not taught to enjoy, well, you're not on the straight and narrow path. You learn that by going on a zigzag or making a circle. It's not straight though. It's heterosexual, not straight. For example, a lot of straight men, they are always jerking off. I've also learned from heterosexual men to conserve your energy and to not just be jerking off all over the place and wasting your energy. Use it for what really matters: creativity, bringing life into the world, pleasuring your partner. And yeah, there's times when it builds up and you want to jerk off, but a lot of men in general, they're just freaking left and right 2 times, 3 times a day. I'm like, dude, you could be beating something in with that type of energy instead of just blasting it all over the place. That's another topic. Men these days are starting to realize you don't have to define yourself as a man through these rigid constructs like straight. In its wording, it's very limiting. Straight. Who the heck wants to be that? And if you want to be that, that's great. And this is where the existence of being straight and being gay can exist at the same time. Just because you're homosexual doesn't mean you're not straight. There's plenty of homosexual and bisexual men that live a straight lifestyle. They're on this set path that's been walked on and through by thousands of men before them, straight and narrow. There's no question marks or curves, it's just simple. You graduate high school, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, you're a slave to your woman, you're a slave to your family, you don't even matter anymore. Yeah, you're walking the straight and narrow path, and guess what also happens on the straight and narrow path? It's quite predictable. You get divorced. Shocker. No, it's not, because it's straight. It's pretty simple. Unfortunately, I have to use the word patriarchy because that's the system that we live in. That's the only reason I use it, to describe the system we are in. And a lot of straight men hold up this patriarchy. And therefore, you have a lot of men who are homosexual and bisexual who are straight and they live a straight lifestyle. It's the performance. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that life and society mainly is a performance. We get so used to the stories we tell about ourselves that it feels like we're not performing anymore. But when you have an existence that goes against the reality you've created for the outside world, it becomes very easy to see the performance aspect. This is why a lot of homosexual and bisexual men will say, oh, I slept with a straight guy. There's this fantasy of sleeping with a straight man. And yes, him having those thoughts makes him non-heterosexual. But you're sleeping with a straight man. You're sleeping with the act. It's the act, the performance, the societal show, the societal performance of being a straight man with the white picket fence, the wife and kids. This is why I always say that's a turnout for me. I've never been attracted to a straight man. It's just a lot of other homosexual, bisexual men, they find this attractive because there's a certain power that comes with it. I think it's like, wow, he's putting down the mask and showing me his true self. There's plenty of that going on. They put down the mask, the performance stops. A lot of the times they're bending over, or sometimes they're bending you over, and the act is not there, and they go back to their performance. This is how the intersection of being straight and having sex with the same gender can exist in the same person. Yes, he's not heterosexual, but he's performing. There's a performance going on. It's society. We live in a society.